What's the trashiest wedding you've been to? At a park. Pickup trucks with igloo coolers opened on the tailgate were the bar. Everything was served in red Solo cups before the wedding. Everyone got drunk. The bride walked down the aisle drinking from a red Solo cup instead of holding a bouquet. It was essentially a tailgate party with a preacher invited. Surely that video of the bride walking down the backyard aisle while dirty dancing to her own shitty recorded cover of Crazy Bitch has got to be up around here somewhere. Probably my dad's second marriage. Along the banks of a river with trailer homes in the background. He's wearing a tuxedo t-shirt and rainbow mirror sunglasses. The ceremony took place at noon. He'd been drinking since 5 a.m. I had to walk one of the bridesmaids down a flight of steps as she was legally blind, and someone asked me if I was going to bang her. Sighs. A wedding on the beach behind Hooters. The officiant stood next to a trash bin. As if it was planned, the trash collector pulled up during the vows. Did he wait to change the bag? Absolutely not. Children at the wedding swarmed the couple like the flies around the trash can just after the kiss, stepping all over her dress. She bent over to adjust her sandal and a pack of Marlboro Reds fell out of the bust along with her right breast. It felt like we were rubbernecking instead witnessing a marriage. At it, I'd ask how y'all knew this was the panhandle of Florida, Pensacola, but when I read this post to my fiancé, he added, Hummingbird, you forgot to add the background of boats sporting Trump flags and rental jet skis. Rolling on the floor laughing. The bride made a speech thanking her in-laws for financial assistance for the event. Her mother was not thanked and she was furious. There was a long head table for bridal party and parents. It was made out of small tables pushed together covered by one long tablecloth. The mother pulled a small table out of the arrangement, catching the tablecloth, and nearly destroying the head table setup. Now the bride got angry and there was much back and forth with various family members attempting to make peace. The mother refused to push back her table and began to invite others to sit with her, all people who were not meant to be seated at the front. Mother of bride continued to sit there and talk shit about her daughter, the bride, to anyone who would listen. I was actually the bartender, but it was a hoot. First, wedding was outside and it stormed violently. Groom was hammered pre-wedding. Hit on all the bartenders. Then the DJ got hammered, made lewd comments to women in the microphone. Then basically everyone was hammered, knocked over the wedding cake which also happened to be a table with many candles, so the place caught on fire. Good times. Often wonder how that marriage worked out. I don't even know where to begin. Ceremony was comprised of immediate family, then followed by a reception with all guests in a relatively nice hotel banquet hall. An hour in at 7 p.m. the open bar was completely closed down because multiple guests were throwing up in the bathroom sinks causing flooding. The groom was so wasted even before the ceremony but was blackout by the time of reception. During the first dance he kept his hands in his cargo pant khakis the entire time and ate dinner sitting on the floor in a corner of the hall while the bride sat at the head table alone. About 2 hours in, the groom randomly left and slept at their house while the bride stayed in the newlywed suite by herself. They are now separated as you may have assumed by this point. Wedding was in a suburban driveway. The maid of honor stole the bouquet from someone's garden and the best man proudly announced he had shoplifted the rings. The groom wore a button-down shirt that said, "Fuck off," in fancy lettering. The bride stopped in the middle of the vows to tell her mother to get that fucking kid out of here. It was her second kid by the previous bloke. When it was over, we apologized to the celebrant. He said he'd seen worse. There were no tables and chairs. Like none. They had an open bar but no fucking chairs. Everyone had to put their drink on the ground and hold their plate to eat. It was fucking crazy. Everyone just assumed that some sort of terrible thing happened where the tables and chair people didn't bring them, but afterwards I asked her, the bride, what happened, and she just said, "Oh, we would have had to pay extra for that." Waitress at a bogan wedding. The night ended with the chef and I rounding up the kids and barricading us all in the kitchen and locking the doors to prevent the melee of fighting adults outside from A, accessing more weapons, some of them BYO'd knives, and B, hurting the kids. They ranged in age from toddlers to preteens. It was just the chef and I, 2 women and a whole bunch of screaming and frightened kids until the police came and carted everyone off to jail. Wedding photographer showed up the next morning for the scheduled photo shoot. I had to tell him he could find the wedding party at the local jail. The chef and I are still friends, but we both quit that place shortly after that epic wedding. The best man screwed the groom's mother between the meal and the dancing. The groom finds out and punches the best man, breaking his hand. The best man drives away and gets stopped by the police for drunk driving. Being a wedding photographer is awesome. Ceremony was in a park, not booked or decorated, just showed up and found a spot. Reception was at a scout hole. No decorations again, and for catering the bride's family went through Red Rooster drive-thru and got a bunch of whole chickens and chips. Like 5 different cars went through one after the other and ordered. They didn't even pre-order. Groom and all his friends were high as kites and only reason bride wasn't is because she announced she was knocked up. Groom and his mates bought their dirt bikes and after eating went out and rode them around the hall. Was so loud and muddy. Hoo boy, this is my time to shine. So my uncle was a preacher but also owned a restaurant. A 16-year-old got married to her 17-year-old boyfriend in the back room. Her name was Candy. After the ceremony she opened her wedding gifts like it was her birthday. One of the waitresses, Brenda, had given her her old lingerie as a gift. I remember during the reception, Candy went out back to throw the lingerie into a dumpster while Brenda sang "These Boots Were Made for Walking" on karaoke. For their honeymoon, her mom bought them a room at the Holiday Inn around the corner, but they got bored so they came home.